Last year, airlines generated nearly $2.3 billion in additional revenue from hidden charges that disproportionately affected travelers over 60. A popular travel channel recently highlighted several airport tactics, but it failed to address the most concerning issue: how airlines intentionally focus on senior passengers. If you're planning to fly this fall, you may unknowingly become part of their revenue strategy. You arrive at the airport believing you understand the process, having been told your entire life to show up 2 hours before departure, yet what they don't explain is that this long-standing advice no longer works the same way, particularly for those over 60. That seemingly helpful gate agent offering to check whether your carry-on meets size requirements can quickly turn into an $85 fee. The TSA officer observing trembling hands may be conducting behavioral monitoring, and the repeated announcements of a minor 30-minute delay can function as a subtle psychological tactic designed to keep passengers waiting without questioning the situation. While other channels provide general airport guidance, this focuses on the specific methods airlines use when dealing with senior travelers, and these are not just ordinary travel suggestions but protective measures. After reviewing more than 200 complaints from senior passengers and consulting retired airline managers, 8 common airport tactics used in 2025 to increase revenue from older travelers were identified, and the first of these explains why nearly 23% of travelers over 60 missed their Thanksgiving flights last year, beginning with what can be described as the exit row upsell strategy. Here's what you need to understand. Gate agents at Spirit Airlines and Frontier Airlines can earn between $5 and $10 in commission each time they flag an oversized carry-on or persuade you to upgrade to a premium seat. That's not simply assistance, it's a sales incentive system, and passengers become part of the target. One 68-year-old passenger flying with Spirit had used the same carry-on bag on numerous trips with the same airline without issue. Yet on this occasion the agent claimed it was too large and imposed a $65 charge. When she objected, she was told, "You can either pay the fee or miss your flight." Faced with that choice, she paid, and the agent secured the commission. To reduce the risk, consider using soft-sided luggage in darker colors since it tends to appear smaller. Avoid volunteering to place your bag in the size tester at the gate. Keep it positioned behind you rather than in plain view, and if questioned, calmly request a supervisor. Interestingly, black duffel bags are reportedly flagged far less frequently than hard-shell rolling suitcases, suggesting the decision often depends more on visual impression than exact measurements. What's even more concerning is the broader monitoring system in place. As you remove your shoes at security, TSA officers may observe facial expressions, hand movements, and posture in an effort to identify signs of stress. Yet findings from the Government Accountability Office have indicated there is no scientific evidence confirming that this behavioral detection method is effective. Despite the lack of scientific backing, TSA continues to rely on this approach, and older travelers are frequently the ones affected. A 73-year-old man with diabetes was held for 45 minutes at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport because he appeared sweaty and anxious, when in reality his blood sugar had dropped. He ultimately missed both his flight and his grandson's birthday celebration. TSA personnel are trained to notice signs such as nervousness, fidgeting, repeated yawning, or even a recently shaved face, and any of these can prompt additional screening, not necessarily because someone poses a threat, but because they match a loosely defined behavioral profile that lacks firm scientific validation. A practical approach is to practice slow, steady breathing before entering security. Keep your movements calm and deliberate, carry a doctor's note if you have a medical condition that may cause sweating or trembling, and arrive with enough time so you are not rushing, since appearing overly eager to seem innocent can sometimes create more suspicion than simply behaving naturally. Even more troubling for many travelers is how medications are handled under heightened screening procedures. In some cases, if you are carrying more than a 10-day supply, officers may request verification of your prescription during busy travel periods, and without documentation they may temporarily seize the medication. In one instance, a 70-year-old heart patient traveling with a 3-month supply of blood pressure medicine stored in a pill organizer was stopped, asked for proof, and when he could not produce the original labeled containers, he was held for 2 hours while officers contacted his pharmacy in Arizona to confirm the prescription. Music, 2 full hours lost over medication that was essential for his survival. Your backup strategy is simple but important. Always keep prescriptions in their original pharmacy-labeled containers, carry a printed letter from your doctor listing every medication along with contact details, bring official prescription documentation for items like insulin, and clearly inform officers about your medications before screening begins. A helpful phrase to use is, "I am traveling with prescription medications and would like to declare them prior to screening." As an added safeguard, take clear photos of every prescription label before you leave home, since digital copies have helped many travelers resolve disputes quickly. Now consider the next tactic, which reportedly costs senior passengers more money than any other combined. Number 5 is the voluntary bag check trap. Across U.S. airports, this practice is estimated to cost older travelers millions of dollars daily, and it often unfolds so quickly that passengers don't realize what happened. You're standing at the gate, the sizing container is placed nearby, and out of simple curiosity you decide to test your bag. The moment you do, a gate agent notices. That single action can create a problem, because once you voluntarily place your bag in the sizer, staff can determine it does not meet requirements. Even if it exceeds the limit by half an inch, you may face a $60 to $100 fee that is difficult to dispute. A 69-year-old passenger flying with United Airlines decided to place her carry-on in the sizing bin just to make sure it complied with the rules, but the agent claimed it exceeded the limit by half an inch and imposed an $85 charge. When she explained that she had traveled with the same bag many times before, she was told, "Policy is policy." Airlines often rely on passenger compliance, understanding that many older travelers are more inclined to follow directions rather than challenge a decision, and the sizing containers are deliberately positioned where they are highly visible. A more cautious approach is to avoid voluntarily placing your bag in the bin at the gate. Keep it positioned behind you and out of immediate sight. Test it at an unattended gate area if you are uncertain, wear additional layers or redistribute heavier items into pockets if necessary, and only use the sizing container when directly instructed by staff, because once you choose to test it on your own, it becomes difficult to dispute the outcome. Another pressing issue involves an upcoming identification requirement that is expected to affect many senior travelers. Beginning November 20, 2025, federal enforcement of the Real ID requirement will apply to domestic flights, meaning a standard driver's license without the required gold or black star marking in the upper corner will not be accepted for air travel. Even recently renewed licenses may not meet the standard if they were not issued as Real ID compliant. For example, a 68-year-old veteran arrived at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport carrying a valid 2023 Georgia driver's license, only to discover at the checkpoint that it did not meet the updated identification requirements. Because his license did not meet Real ID standards, TSA officers denied him passage, forcing him to miss his grandson's wedding and drive 11 hours instead. The bigger question is why clearer warnings were not consistently communicated, as confusion often leads to additional revenue through rebooking charges, change fees, and costly last-minute ticket purchases. A smart precaution is to immediately check your driver's license for the required star marking. If it is missing, schedule an appointment with your local DMV as soon as possible. You can also carry a valid passport or passport card as an alternative form of identification, and many travelers choose to apply for a passport card in advance since it is relatively affordable and can be expedited within a few weeks. A simple symbol should not be the reason your holiday plans fall apart. Another growing concern involves automated systems that can affect your seat assignment before you even reach the gate. Under certain airline connection policies, if a passenger is delayed and appears unlikely to arrive before departure, reservation systems may reassign the seat to standby travelers. You may be hurrying through the terminal, see the aircraft still at the gate with boarding in progress, and then be told upon arrival that your seat has already been reassigned. Passengers sometimes encounter what is known as predictive cancellation, where automated systems reassign seats before a traveler has officially missed a connection. American Airlines uses connection management software, often referred to as AURA, designed to anticipate whether a passenger will arrive at the gate in time. If the system predicts a missed connection, it may release the seat to standby travelers even before the inbound flight lands. In one reported case, a 74-year-old couple had a 45-minute connection in Dallas, and although their first flight was delayed by 20 minutes, they were still on track to make the second flight, yet the system reassigned their seats before arrival, and when they reached the gate, they were informed they had been moved to a flight the following day without accommodation. To reduce this risk, many travelers choose connection windows of at least 90 minutes, monitor delays closely, call the airline immediately if a disruption occurs to request seat protection, verify their boarding pass upon landing, and proceed quickly to the gate if anything appears changed. If removed in advance, passengers can reference involuntary denial of boarding when discussing compensation options. Another common frustration involves incremental delay announcements, where departure times gradually shift from 30 minutes to an hour and then to several hours. Airlines often update delays in stages rather than announcing the full estimated disruption at once, which can influence how passengers respond and whether they seek refunds or alternative arrangements. Announcing long delays in small 30-minute increments helps avoid panic and large-scale refund requests, but it often leaves passengers waiting for hours without clear expectations. One 72-year-old grandmother remained at the gate for 4 hours as updates kept extending the departure time by just another half hour, and she was hesitant even to step away briefly in case boarding was suddenly announced. Gradual updates can reduce complaints and limit rebooking demands, yet they also keep travelers stationary and uncertain. A practical response is to independently track the inbound aircraft using tools like FlightRadar 24 or FlightAware. If the plane assigned to your flight is still far from your airport, a short delay estimate may be unrealistic. Setting real-time alerts for gate changes and staying proactive about your schedule can help you manage the situation rather than passively waiting. For domestic flights delayed more than 3 hours, airlines may provide meal vouchers upon request, but passengers usually need to ask directly. The broader concern involves long-standing advice that passengers should arrive 2 hours before a domestic flight. While airlines continue to promote this guideline, high travel volumes, updated screening procedures, and the possibility of additional checks can make that window tight during peak periods, particularly for older travelers who may require extra processing time at security checkpoints. Last Thanksgiving, nearly 23% of travelers over 60 missed their flights, not because of weather or traffic, but due to security screening delays. One retired couple arrived exactly 2 hours early on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, following airline guidance, only to find a 90-minute security line. They missed their flight by 12 minutes and ended up paying $800 in rebooking fees, plus additional hotel costs, $800 simply for following the airline's advice. Both TSA and Airlines are aware of these delays, yet they continue promoting the 2-hour rule because acknowledging the reality would admit system shortcomings, and missed flights generate revenue through rebooking fees, change fees, and forfeited tickets. To stay ahead, plan to arrive 3.5 hours before domestic flights and 4.5 hours before international flights during peak Thanksgiving travel from November 22nd to 24th. Monitor real-time security wait times with My TSA app, enroll in TSA PreCheck for $78 over 5 years, and consider flying on off-peak days, as Thanksgiving Day itself often has lines that are up to 60% shorter. A little-known tip is to call your airport 48 hours in advance to confirm checkpoint opening times. You may be able to clear security as early as 4 a.m., giving you a significant advantage over the crowds. Last Thanksgiving, nearly 23% of travelers over 60 missed their flights, not because of weather or traffic, but due to security screening delays. One retired couple arrived exactly 2 hours early on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, following airline guidance, only to find a 90-minute security line. They missed their flight by 12 minutes and ended up paying $800 in rebooking fees, plus additional hotel costs, $800 simply for following the airline's advice. Both TSA and airlines are aware of these delays, yet they continue promoting the 2-hour rule because acknowledging the reality would admit system shortcomings, and missed flights generate revenue through rebooking fees, change fees, and forfeited tickets. To stay ahead, plan to arrive 3.5 hours before domestic flights and 4.5 hours before international flights during peak Thanksgiving travel from November 22nd to 24th. Monitor real-time security wait times with my TSA app, enroll in TSA PreCheck for $78 over 5 years, and consider flying on off-peak days, as Thanksgiving Day itself often has lines that are up to 60% shorter. A little-known tip is to call your airport 48 hours in advance to confirm checkpoint opening times. You may be able to clear security as early as 4 a.m., giving you a significant advantage over the crowds.